I cooked for my grandson's birthday while my daughter-in-law took credit for everything. When I tried to speak up, she told everyone I was losing my mind. But I kept one piece of evidence that proved what really happened that day. I'm 67. I raised my son David on my own after his father left when David was 8. I worked 2 jobs for most of his childhood, mornings at a dentist's office, evenings at a diner. I didn't have much, but I made sure he never went without. He got through college with scholarships and a little help from me. I was so proud when he got that engineering job and bought his first house. When he met Alyssa, I tried to be supportive. She wasn't warm. She was one of those women who always seemed calculated. She dressed perfectly, smiled perfectly, never let her guard down. When I hugged her, her body stayed stiff. I figured she just needed time. But 5 years passed and she never let me in. I was allowed at birthdays and holidays, but never too early or too long. She'd correct me in front of guests. She rolled her eyes when I brought old photos of David as a kid. She told people I was sentimental. That word, sentimental, like it meant pathetic. When Jack was born, I hoped things would be different. I thought maybe seeing me love her child would soften her. But it only made her colder. She'd remind me not to feed him too much sugar if I brought cookies. She told me once, Jack doesn't need to be spoiled just because you have time to kill. Time to kill. That stuck with me. Fast forward to last spring. David called and asked if I could help with Jack's 3rd birthday. I was thrilled. I told him I'd do all the food. Alyssa didn't call me directly, which wasn't a surprise. She just sent me a group text with a Pinterest board and said, "Theme is dinosaurs. Please stick to the color palette." Whatever. I didn't care about the colors. I cared about making it special. I planned out everything: sliders, pasta salad, cupcakes, even little fruit kebabs for the kids. I spent 4 days cooking. My hands were sore from peeling and chopping. I stood for hours in my small kitchen, sweating, just happy to be part of something for Jack. The morning of the party, I showed up early, like I was told. Alyssa opened the door with her phone in one hand and barely looked at me. "You can start setting up the food out back," she said. "No hello." "No thank you." I set everything up. I even brought little chalkboard signs to label each dish. When guests arrived, people started complimenting the food almost immediately. And that's when I heard her. Alyssa was telling them she made everything. She told one woman, "Oh yes, I started prepping days ago. Those sliders were a pain." Then she laughed like it was a cute inside joke. She lied right to their faces, and no one questioned it. I walked over to her and gently said, "Actually, I made." She cut me off, her smile still plastered on. "Margaret's been a little forgetful lately," she said, turning to the guest. "You know how it is." That moment, I can't even describe it. It was like someone poured cold water down my back. Everyone just nodded, like it made sense. Like I was the confused old woman trying to take credit for something I didn't do. I backed away. I went to the side yard and sat alone for most of the party. Not one person thanked me. Not one. David came by and said, "Hey, great turnout, huh?" I asked him if he knew Alyssa was saying she cooked everything, and he just looked uncomfortable and said, "She's just excited. Don't make a big deal, okay?" I went home that night and cried harder than I have in years. Not because of the food, but because I raised a son who would let that happen. Because I knew in that moment that in their eyes, I was becoming disposable. But I wasn't losing my mind. 2 days before the party, I had filmed everything. I used a cheap tripod and my phone. I wanted to make a video for Jack someday, just his grandma cooking for him. I showed the mac and cheese coming out of the oven, the fruit tray being assembled, the cupcakes getting frosted. I even joked on camera, "Jack, if your mom tries to say she made these, don't believe her." At the time, I thought I was being funny, but that video ended up being the only piece of truth I had. I didn't use it right away. I waited, because I wanted to make sure that when I did, they'd have to believe me, that no one could twist it. No one could say I was confused or sentimental. They thought they could lie, that I was too old or too weak to fight back. They were wrong, and I was done staying quiet. After the party, I started pulling back from them. Not out of spite, out of survival. I didn't visit as often. I didn't call. I didn't offer to babysit. I waited to see if David or Alyssa would reach out. Weeks passed. Nothing. One Sunday morning, I sent David a text. Hey, just wondering if Jack liked the cupcakes. I never heard if he enjoyed them. No response. I waited a day, then tried again. Did you get my message? This time, I got a reply, but it wasn't from David. It was from Alyssa. She wrote, Margaret, please don't guilt-trip David. He's been working a lot and doesn't need extra pressure right now. We appreciate your help at the party, but it's not healthy to dwell on being thanked for every little thing. Maybe you should talk to someone about how you've been feeling lately. That last line was a knife to the chest. Talk to someone. As in, see a therapist. As in, maybe you're not well. I reread the message at least 10 times. My hands were shaking. I was angry, yes, but more than anything, I felt erased. Like I was being rewritten in their story as the old lady who's starting to lose it. That week, I went to my church group like usual, but I was quiet. I didn't talk about what happened. I didn't want to look like I was gossiping. But I started keeping everything. Every message. Every photo from the party. Every bit of correspondence between us. I even pulled up my video footage and made multiple copies, one on a USB drive, one on my laptop, one on a private cloud link. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with it yet. But I wasn't going to let them keep walking over me like I didn't exist. 2 months later, it got worse. A friend of mine, Carol, called me up and said, I didn't know you stopped cooking. I saw Alyssa's post. She said you've been struggling and that she's been doing all the family meals now. She even posted some pictures of that birthday food. I thought you made that. I pulled up Alyssa's Facebook page. I don't usually check it, but this time I had to see. Sure enough, there it was. A picture of the party spread, my food captioned, Cooking has become such a joy for me since becoming a mom. I made everything myself for Jack's party. My Amile isn't up for this kind of stuff anymore, so I'm happy to take it on. The comments were full of praise. Super Mom. You're incredible. I wish I could cook like this. And there was one from David. So proud of you. You really made the day special. I stared at that comment for a long time. That's when something in me snapped. Not just sadness. Not just anger. Resolve. I made a new Facebook account. No name, no photo. Just a burner. I joined a few local mom groups Alyssa was part of. She was active in 3 of them. I waited, watching how she posted, how she shared. Her whole image was based on this idea that she was some perfect working mom who still found time to bake and decorate and hand-make everything. It was all fake. So I started planning. Quietly. A few weeks later, I attended a community fundraiser Alyssa was helping organize. It was at the church rec hall, funny enough, the same one I used to help clean as part of my job years ago. I knew the event director. I knew how things worked. Alyssa had volunteered to cater the event and had listed herself as the primary food provider. The night before the event, I messaged the organizer, again anonymously, and sent them a link to my video. The whole cooking process. The labeled dishes. Me saying Jack's name and the party date. I wrote, just so you're aware, this woman has a pattern of taking credit for food she didn't make. Please confirm she's not misrepresenting herself for your fundraiser.
No threats. No anger.
Just truth. They didn't reply, but I saw the result the next day. Alyssa showed up to the fundraiser late and without food. Apparently, someone had confronted her earlier in the day, asked if she could prep a sample dish on site to verify her skills. She got flustered, claimed she was too busy. She left early. David didn't call me for 3 weeks after that. And when he finally did, he didn't ask if I'd done anything. He just said, you need to stop whatever you're doing. I told him flat out. I didn't lie. I never lied. You let her humiliate me in front of everyone. He sighed and said, Mom, this is just causing problems. Can't we all just move on? That was the last time we spoke. They think this is over. It isn't. Because I've kept every lie, every post, every screenshot. And I haven't even started on the final part yet. After that phone call from David, I gave myself time to think. Part of me hoped he'd come around, that he'd see what was happening and step in, not to defend me blindly, but just to listen.
To look at the facts.
But instead, a week later, I got a letter in the mail. From a lawyer. It wasn't a lawsuit. It was a formal cease and desist. Signed by a firm Alyssa's brother worked for. The letter accused me of online harassment, defamation, and intentional emotional distress. It said I had been disrupting Alyssa's community standing and business reputation, and warned that any future slanderous behavior would lead to legal action. I sat at my kitchen table and read it 3 times before I could breathe. They were trying to silence me. They weren't just trying to humiliate me now. They were painting me as unstable, dangerous. The letter even referenced mental decline as a possible mitigating factor if the case went to court. I almost threw up. That same day, I drove down to the lawyer's office who helped me when I updated my will last year. A quiet man named Terrence, older, very thorough. I showed him the letter. I showed him my video. I showed him the Facebook post. He watched in silence. Then he looked me dead in the eye and said, "Margaret, if they want to go legal, they're making a big mistake." But I wasn't interested in suing them. Not yet. I wanted to ruin the lie Alyssa had built.
Publicly. Permanently.
And I wanted to do it in a way that couldn't be swept under the rug with another fake smile or a lawyer's letter. Then the next twist came. Jack was enrolled in a small private preschool, a place Alyssa always bragged about. I had never been invited to visit. But I found out from Carol, whose granddaughter goes there, that the school was holding a parent talent day. A sort of show and tell where parents could demonstrate something they're good at, cooking, art, anything. Alyssa had signed up to demonstrate creative cooking. That's when it all clicked into place. I made a call to the preschool director. I asked for a short meeting. I brought my laptop. I explained who I was calmly and quietly and showed them the birthday video. Then I showed the Facebook posts, the fundraiser claims, and finally the lawyer's letter. I said one sentence that sealed it. If someone's lying to this many people about something so small, what else might they lie about? The director thanked me, said nothing more. But the next day, Alyssa was removed from the talent event. She posted some vague thing on social media about being forced to step back for personal reasons. That wasn't enough. So I took one final step. Remember that video I made of me cooking for Jack? I edited it down to 5 minutes, just the clearest parts. I uploaded it to YouTube under a fake name. Then I sent the link to every person I knew who was at that party. I didn't say anything snarky. Just, "Hi. I thought you might want to know the truth about Jack's birthday. I made this for him, not for you. But I think you deserve to see it too." I sent it to some of Alyssa's church friends. To her mom. To the woman who asked her for the cupcake recipe. I didn't post it publicly. I didn't want to go viral. I wanted her world, the curated, fake little world she built, to crack open from the inside. And it did. People started commenting on her posts with vague questions. "Wait, didn't Margaret make those?" One woman asked, "Is this the same dish from that video?" The real damage wasn't in what people said.
It was what they stopped saying.
The comments dried up. The praise stopped. The invitations to host and volunteer disappeared. Alyssa started posting less. Then she locked her accounts. David never called me again. But Carol told me she heard through someone else that Alyssa had a minor breakdown and was stepping away from public commitments for a while. I don't know if that's true. I don't care. What I do know is this. She tried to erase me. She tried to turn my own son against me. She thought I was old, tired, confused. But I was paying attention the whole time. And I'm not done yet. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just the truth. Given enough air to breathe. 3 months passed. No calls. No texts. No invitations. Silence. I knew what that meant. I'd been cut off. Quietly, like cowards do it. I wasn't surprised. David and Alyssa had drawn a line, and they expected me to come crawling across it. But I didn't. I filled my days with other things. Church. My garden. I started helping with meals at the community center again. People there respected me. They knew my name. They knew what I could do. Still, some nights, I'd sit in my living room and stare at the framed photo of David and Jack on my bookshelf and wonder if I went too far. If maybe I'd burned the bridge beyond repair. Then I'd remember that party. That moment Alyssa smiled in my face and told people I was losing my mind.
No.
I didn't go too far.
She did.
And I wasn't finished yet. What people like Alyssa don't understand is that family has memory. Neighbors talk. Reputation isn't just online likes, it's consistency. It's truth. And slowly, bit by bit, the truth was doing its job. A few weeks after the YouTube video, Carol told me that Alyssa's spot on the parent council at Jack's preschool was reconsidered. Not removed. Not public. Just quietly handed to someone else. Then I heard Alyssa didn't get the promotion she was after at her firm. Word had it they went with someone more collaborative. Again, no one pointed fingers. But people had seen the video. The story had gotten around in the way small community scandals do. Whispers at drop-off lines, silent judgments in grocery store aisles. Still, there was one thing left. One piece of revenge I hadn't taken. And it was the most personal of all. Jack's 4th birthday was coming up. I hadn't been invited. But this time, I didn't need an invitation. 2 days before the party, I made another video.
Short.
Just me, talking directly to the camera. Not cooking. Not crying. Just speaking plainly. Jack, one day you're going to grow up. You're going to hear stories about me, some true, some not. I want you to know, no matter what happens between me and your parents, I always showed up for you. I made you food with love. I made you memories. And when someone tried to erase that, I stood up. Because truth matters, even when it's hard. I uploaded it to a new private link and sent it to David with one line. Save this for your son. You owe him that much. He never replied. But I saw that he opened it. And a week later, something strange happened. A package showed up on my porch. No note. Just a box. Inside was a photo of me holding Jack at his 1st birthday, one I hadn't even known existed. And underneath it, folded neatly, was a tiny dinosaur bib I'd sewn for him years ago. That was David's way of saying what he couldn't say out loud. That he remembered. That some part of him still saw the truth. It wasn't a full apology, but it was a crack in the wall. And for now, that's enough. As for Alyssa, her image took the hit that mattered most. She didn't lose everything, but she lost the one thing she truly worshipped: control. People don't gush over her like they used to. She smiles harder now. Tries too much. There's always a flicker of tension behind her eyes when she's in public. That's what truth does when you give it room. It rots the mask. And me? I'm still here. Still cooking. Still standing. They tried to silence me. But I never needed to yell. I just needed to wait and let the truth speak for itself.